Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to the Muslim Game Changers podcast, where we bring you inspiring stories from the best and brightest of the Muslim world. I'm your Hussein, and I'm very excited to take you on a journey of discovery featuring high-profile Muslim leaders from all around the globe. Welcome back to the Muslim Game Changers podcast, everyone. We are delighted to have a very special guest with us today, Muhammad Rayyan Siddiqui. He brings a depth of experience and knowledge to our show. Not only is he the world's youngest Microsoft software engineer, but he's also the world's youngest certified Android app developer. It's not even that. He also holds the distinction of being the youngest Udacity graduate. Last but not least, he started university at the age of 15 years old, guys. He has lived in Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Canada. A fun fact about Muhammad, he also enjoys Formula One and hitting the gym. Assalamu alaikum, Muhammad. How are you doing today?
Wa alaikum assalam. I'm good. How about you?
Excellent. Very good. This was a killer introduction. Yeah, I presented you like a catch attack star or something.
I loved it.
You deserve it. You deserve it, my brother. So honored that you are with us today. If you could tell us where you were born and where you are currently, because I know personally, but the audience might not know.
Sure, yeah. So we can rewind back to October 2004. That was when I was born in Islamabad, Pakistan. So Islamabad is the capital city of Pakistan. And then in Pakistan, I lived there for about 7-ish years. So in 2012, we moved to Saudi Arabia. And then basically from 2012 till about 2017, summer of 2017, we lived in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, which is the capital of Saudi Arabia. And then we moved here to Vancouver, British Columbia in 2017, where I'm currently. Yeah.
Excellent, very good. What motivated your family to first leave Pakistan to go to Saudi Arabia? I know a lot of people among the Muslim community is trying to go since, Ronaldo has moved there. It has shifted, I have the impression, the public opinion on Saudi Arabia.
Oh, yeah.
What has motivated your family to go to Saudi Arabia and then to shift again to Canada?
Yeah, well, me and my brother, we joke about it now. It's like the time we were in Saudi Arabia, like nothing was there. Now they're having like international boxing events. Ronaldo's there. They have like cinemas opened up. But what motivated us? Well, it was just pursuit of a better livelihood. Like my dad found a job in Saudi Arabia, got an opportunity there. And so we thought, you know what, let's try going out of Pakistan and then let's try building something there. And then from Saudi Arabia to Canada, the main motivation was just post-secondary. So in Saudi Arabia, where I studied, there wasn't much scope of like any education beyond high school, so like beyond grade 12. So my family thought that it's going to be a better opportunity if we move to somewhere, say, in North America. For me, not only do I get access to the corporate world, because my interest was in computers, so like in software engineering. Mm-hmm. So a lot of tech companies are based here in North America. So it would just open up a lot of opportunities. So we decided to move from Saudi Arabia to Canada here.
So you would say your parents considered your education as a priority. Your brother, he's in the same field as you, and we're going to talk about your field a bit later, but is he in the same...
No, he is not. So my brother is about 2.5 years younger, but he's not in the same field. But it was mostly just to give us the most amount of opportunities possible. So not only in software, but like in other areas as well. Like some of the universities in North America are reputed amongst like the top universities. So there's just way more opportunity. So yeah. So my parents always, like education was always first. Like even back in Pakistan, like it was... Like education was the first thing. So
beside the education, learning is the biggest investment you can make on yourself. And just a last question about the choice of country, but it's true that I see a lot of Pakistani families go in the UK,
yeah.
But your parents chose Canada. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but do you think they considered the UK at some point?
I remember there were talks we were discussing, like just Europe in general, Australia, like the first options that come to mind, like obviously UK, Australia, US, but we decided Canada. Well, my dad really liked Canada, and then it was also just circumstance as well. Like the gateway to Canada was a bit more accessible to other places. We thought like, let's not wait for other options. Like we have this opportunity, let's just go in.
Okay, see. What has been your experience living as a Muslim in Canada? Because Pakistan is renowned as a very Muslim country worldwide. Saudi also, very conservative. And then you switch to North America. But I can tell that you're very well educated. You stay true to your principles. I just wanted to know how has been this complete shift of lifestyle, and have you managed to keep like a balance between like your studies, your professional career, and like your spiritual life?
Yeah, so I guess I'll answer this in three parts. First being the cultural shock. Well, not really a shock. So growing up in Pakistan, well, more in Saudi Arabia, because I was like really young in Pakistan, but in Saudi Arabia, coming here wasn't that big of a cultural shock because everyone watches North American movies and TV shows all across the world. So that was one of the ways I actually learned English as well. So I grew up on like Disney shows, iCarly, Victorious, like so many of these Disney shows I watched back in Saudi Arabia.
You speak incredible English. I thought you were born in Canada because your accent is so perfect. I just wanted to share this. Sorry for interrupting.
Thank you. Yeah, no worries. But yeah, so that was a major part of me learning English was just watching all these North American shows. And I think all the stuff that you see, you kind of consume it in. And then when you come here, like didn't feel that big of a cultural shock. There were like major differences. Like you would see people here walk around in shorts, something you would never see in Saudi Arabia or in Pakistan. Yeah, a lot of like minute differences. And just there is a strong Muslim community here. Almost anywhere in the world that you go, like the Muslim presence is there. The Muslims are fully integrated into society here. Yeah, there hasn't been any like unusual experiences. Like the Muslim community is incredibly successful here, like fully integrated. You have like Muslim doctors, engineers, industrialists, like real estate owners, Muslims like owning like big malls and stuff here. So like they're fully integrated into the culture here, especially here where I live in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Would you think that it is up to the stereotype we have of Canada of being like extremely multicultural, extremely opening? You know, we see Justin Trudeau saying Assalamu alaikum, Eid Mubarak, etc. Do you think it's up to the image they're trying to project towards the world? Do you think it's up to it being a local there now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it is part of that is true, especially like any type of awareness that you see, like by say Justin Trudeau saying like Eid Mubarak to everyone. I think that's all good, and that should be the case for all traditions. Like thing with Canada and I think US as well, like both of these are countries from immigrants by immigrants. Like the native population here, like they don't have much of a settlement. It's more of the immigrants, like immigrants from Europe, you have from Asia and so on, who've built this country. Even if there isn't any type of say like in the news or Justin Trudeau doesn't wish everyone Eid Mubarak, like when you come to the country, the infrastructure itself, Muslims have played a big part. So the reality is there.
Yeah. I just think in the US, it will depend on the state, you know, because California, Texas, etc. are way more open-minded, etc., way more multicultural than some states which, you know, maybe certain southern states, etc., which it might be less diverse, less open. But I would agree on most part of the states, yeah.
Yeah. But here it's super, I mean, Canada is like super diverse, especially here, British Columbia is like, you see almost everyone.
Yeah.
Like, from every background.
Guys, I love Canada, just to say, yeah. Okay, Mohammed, let's get straight into it. What have you done in terms of studies so far? When precisely have you begun learning about software engineering? And when have you begun university? And if you could tell us also what kind of difference you would already assess between learning by yourself, because I believe you are a self-learner, a huge self-learner, and what you're currently learning at school. Do you think it's like, are you disappointed of what you learn at school because you're such in advance, or is it still up to the expectation?
Well, I like the way you put it, but I'll give a bit of a timeline. So back in Saudi Arabia, our family, it was just our family. Like we didn't have like coming from Pakistan, being an incredibly like hyper social environment. Like every weekend you go to someone's house, someone's hosting a dinner, someone's at your place. But Saudi Arabia, it was all just us, our family. So a bit of an isolation there. And it was during that time, this was when I was around 8-9 years old, when there was a lot of free time. And back then, like Instagram Reels, TikToks weren't a thing, like YouTube Shorts. So I could spend some time on my dad's laptop. So the first thing I did was I started with Photoshop, just following online YouTube tutorials, like making funny photos of my parents, of my siblings, photoshopping abs to like a six-pack on myself, or like giving myself a big body, so stuff like that. So that continued. And then my aunt, so my mom's sister and my mom's brother, they both noticed an interest in my, like me spending a lot of time on the computer, like making photos and so on. And then they saw an ad for like an online free course for web designing. And they thought, hey, this would be really good for you since you spend a lot of time. And so that kind of introduced me into this world of online courses. So from that time, I think the institute that the online website that I did a lot of courses at was Shaw Academy. I don't think they exist now. I think they like rebranded and changed their name. But I did I started learning about web designing, like really basic stuff, web development, graphic designing, social media marketing, digital marketing. But most of it just went through my head. But I think now that I look back on it, just getting myself familiar, comfortable with okay, this type of stuff exists. Like even if I don't understand it fully, like just getting my brain comfortable with those things. So this was in Saudi Arabia. This is, to give a bit of a time, this is 2012, 2013, when I started doing online stuff. And then that continued as I kept learning, just making a simple website, making a simple app, and so on. And then we came here in Canada in 2017. That's where, so I was 12 at the time, and then I discovered the Google developer Android certification. So I'd be doing a lot of Android courses prior to that. So I thought, okay, let me test myself. Do I have proficiency at an industry level, at like a beginner industry level in app development? So the minimum age for that certification was 13, and I was 12. So as soon as I turned 13, like literally 13 years and like 5 minutes, my age at that time, when I started that exam. So that went through. They did a bunch of interviews as part of the exam, and then I got my developer certification, which was the first milestone in proving that, okay, like I have some type of industry level proficiency in application development. And then I was informed that, in fact, like I was the youngest one to ever do it. So that kind of blew up. That got featured in like a couple, I think, magazines, newspapers, and so on. And so that was the point where my parents, they started investing more into my self-learning. So then I started doing paid programs. Prior to this, I was just doing free online courses. So I started doing paid online courses. I did one at Udacity in artificial intelligence programming with Python, which then I completed, and I was also informed that I was the youngest one to complete that. And then, so kept doing online stuff. And then when we came here to Saudi Arabia, so in 2017, I started grade 8 here. And that was one of the bigger shifts for me. So in Saudi Arabia, what I studied in grade 4 or 5, they were nowhere near that level of proficiency in grade 8. Just the strict curriculum we had back in Saudi Arabia of the topics we did in math, those topics people do here in grade 10, grade 11, like trigonometry and so on. So that was a big shift. That gave me a lot of free time because I literally had to put in no effort in school, and I would still get full marks on everything. So I spent more time doing online courses, just learning by myself. And then when I started high school, that's where I discovered that they had some of their programming courses. The high school that I went to here, Centennial Secondary, here in British Columbia. And then I wasn't learning anything new. So I kept just on my path of just learning on my own. I contacted the principal of this high school. I talked to him. He said, oh yeah, I've heard about you and so on. So he took me out of all the elective programming classes I was in, and then put me in something called an IDS, which is an independent directed study. The school gave me free time to study whatever I wanted, and I just had to write a report and explain it to the principal. I used that time as well to just study more, do online courses. At that time, for my IDS, I did an online course in reinforcement learning, which is a branch of artificial intelligence. It's how you program an agent. Say there's a game, say Call of Duty. How do you program an AI to play Call of Duty to understand what's going on? It's a branch dealing with that. So I studied that, and then I later discovered that you can graduate early. So there's something called online courses in the district that I study, online courses and summer programs. So you can do courses in the summer. And so I thought, okay, you know what? I'm not getting much value out of high school. So let me try to clear this as soon as possible. And then let's move on to what's next, either university.
Amazing.
So I managed to graduate high school in 2 years. So in my first year, I was a grade 9. And then my second year, I was a grade 10, 11, 12 all together. And that happened. So I finished high school. And then this is 2019 when I graduated in 2020. And then I started, and this is when I'm 14. And then I started University of British Columbia, which is highest rated university here, at least one of the top universities in Canada. And I studied about a year and a half there at UBC. It was all online. So this is like during the height of the pandemic. So that also allowed me to continue just chipping away at my like just learning online skills, online courses. And then later, so this is now I'm talking October 2021, like September, October 2021, when my second year was supposed to start. I got an opportunity with Microsoft. So I decided to commit to Microsoft then. And then I went on a break from my university. And it's been Microsoft ever since.
So basically, if I understand right, it was a mixture of like, first you had a passion for creating things, programming, I don't know, HTML. And then you told yourself, I love to create. This is what I love to do in life. I want to make it my job. You told yourself, instead of waiting for the studies, etc., I'm going to be proactive, learn by myself, even if I don't have the means, even if it's going to cost me a lot of time. I could play, I don't know, basketball, etc., but I'm going to devote myself to it because you took more pleasure in actually learning about HTML and then further Python, etc. It might be normal for you, and I want the audience to realize that at this age, this is very inspiring because I remember at this age, I love to do the same thing, and I truly can relate with you so much because I was coding things on HTML with CSS sheets, etc. I was having fun when I was a kid, but then like to learn so much. This is where you go beyond. This can sound as a silly question, but why wouldn't you go like play basketball? But
no. So I'll clarify something. So two things. One, I didn't sacrifice much. I had to stop some activities, but I didn't I still played soccer with my friends. Soccer. They call it soccer here. It's football. Basketball, like I didn't stop any of my extra activities, but this was a higher priority for me, which was just learning online. And the other thing, what you mentioned was, so I didn't really have a passion. It was more of like, I don't have anything to do, so might as well like just learn stuff. My main motivation was just to find ways to make money online. So it was just trying like drop shipping or like just trying like a way, just make some money online. So it was more of that, less of passion. But then I just stuck to this for so long, like just learning new stuff, how to create this app, how to create this website, how to do marketing and so on, that later then the interest came. Like, okay, maybe if I like dedicate more time into this, maybe I can do something with it. But it was mostly just trying to figure out ways to like just make some quick money online. So that was the main motivation.
You see like how much like being deprived of money as a kid, because I had the same issue and I'm sure so much people can relate in the UK, Australia, etc. tells you, okay, I have to respect my education. Otherwise my father would kill me. I have like to respect my faith, but at the same time, can I find a legitimate way with what I'm strong at? So for instance, it was anything that relates to computers. So yourself, okay, can I do drop shipping? Can I monetize maybe websites, etc.? It's a very smart way. I had a question. It was, you said that in Saudi Arabia, basically after post-grad, etc., it's not very interesting. Canada is more interesting. But you said that you were in advance. When you came in Canada, you were in advance, so you were getting bored. So you would actually rate Saudi Arabia like as a kid as a higher, more competitive type of education than Canada. Then afterwards, Canada catches up, yeah?
Yeah. So it's a bit of a weird. I still to this day just think how like the two systems differ. So in Saudi Arabia, primary and middle school age, you're put under so much pressure, which I think is really good in that age. At the time, you don't realize it. You just like, there's like 5 exams in a day, like 10 books I have to carry to school. But it kind of builds that discipline. It teaches you, especially the things that they teach, like at least the time I was there, where it took a bit of time here for the people here to reach to that point. But one thing I noticed, I mean, the quality of education, Saudi Arabia is good as well, but then Canada is just there's just way more opportunity after education. So that was also one of the like the main reasons why we moved here. That was my experience, was like went from like being in such a high pressure environment to almost virtually no pressure. Like middle school was just all play, like literally. Kind of fortunate in that. Like I'm super, super grateful that it happened that way, that I was part of like a school that at least for me, I was at an advantage because the stuff that they're teaching, I like already learned in like 3 years ago in grade 6. So yeah, so that gave me a bit of free time as well to like just do online courses.
Alhamdulillah, I'm so glad for you. And there's one thing which the audience might not know, but for instance, in Canada, since it's very multicultural, for instance, you know, in the Asian culture, like the Koreans, the Japanese, etc. I didn't know, but basically they put their kids apart from school in like tutoring until like midnight. For instance, in Toronto, I saw like it's extremely competitive because the kids, since they got like all those second wave of immigration, like the Chinese, Japanese, etc., and their parents are investing so much in them. It's a very hustling type of environment for a kid to be in, very stressful, etc., while a kid has also to grow. So I think it's all about finding the balance. And this is why education is for me also a part of engineering, because you have to engineer the learning experience, the outcomes, the volume of hours, the materials it's going to provide, and so on and so forth. Anyway, I wanted to know now, what inspired you to pursue a career in software engineering? Why not in pure data science? Why not in data analytics, like a business analyst? Why specifically software engineering?
Well, it was more of the opportunities that were present, and software engineering was one of them. So I didn't really have a specific area to go into. Like even after I finished high school in university, I knew that it was definitely going to be like, I definitely want to work for like a big tech company. And there's like numerous roles that you can get into, like as you mentioned, analyst, data scientist, program management, and so on. But software engineering was probably the one that aligned the most with me not having to the stuff that I had already done. It was easier to go down the path of a software engineer, so I decided to stick with that. But it was mostly just because I've been independently working as a contractor as well for a couple companies, like just building applications for them, websites for them, and then like on my own personal projects as well. So all of that, like I really enjoyed. And then like software engineering was the closest part to it, like doing the same thing, but on a bigger scale in a big tech company.
There is one question you have not answered. It's that, how would you compare the academic knowledge you're getting like at university, etc., with the certifications? Because it's true that in a boot camp, you learn things straight that you can apply in the business. You know, if you learn about like, how do I analyze a Netflix data set, it's a real case scenario. And in the university, sometimes I feel they're disconnected.
Yeah, it's in two things. So in boot camps, you learn more of direct skills, like direct skills being like, okay, how do you build a website? How do you build an app? How do you build a website that like fetches Netflix data or something like that? Whereas university is way more abstract. It's more on like it doesn't teaches you a specific skill. Like, okay, we're going to teach, this is a course on building an app. At least the university I went to, it's more on, okay, here are all the architecture. Like here is all the tools that people use to create really large software. Go learn the tools. Like it's not like just one specific thing. So I think boot camps are really good in that like you can learn a specific skill really quickly. Online courses, certification, I'm a big supporter of that, because that's been like my journey. 99% of my time has been like just online courses. But I still think university has like a lot of value. I think can't replace university. I mean, then it falls on you as a person. Like if you can, now we have such incredible like online resources. Some universities even making their courses publicly available. Like the most famous one being like the CS50, I believe, which is Harvard's like intro to computer science. So it's on you, like as a person, to just see, okay, this is the stuff, this is the level of abstraction universities are teaching. Can I find some online resource like on YouTube or something, and then just take it on yourself. If you want to go down the bootcamp road, like if you want to go down that road, like it's on you to get up to date. But a university still has a lot of value, but it's a different layer of abstraction. Yeah.
Perfect point. This is what I wanted to underline. It's very important that you choose competitive universities, business schools, engineering schools. It's just that finding the resources online, it's the most cost-effective solution sometimes. You can get a big name. If you go on edX, Coursera, Udacity, etc., you can find big names, get the return on investment, like you can put it on a resume. So I think it's also very cost efficient, I believe.
The one more point I'll mention is that, so for the audience, if money is not a problem for you, so say you come from a well-off family, university is a must. Like you can't replace university. I'm speaking outside of like the computer world, like just university in general. It has good value, especially for certain fields. Like you just can't replace a university, like say for medicine, for becoming, like you're not going to become a doctor off of like a YouTube video. So you need that rigorous training for engineering, for your medicine. So for me personally, my goal has always been, okay, like I want to make some money online. What are the skills necessary that are going to get me there? And that was my mindset. But if money is not an issue, like you're not thinking about money, like, okay, I can like study whatever I want, then like university should be on one of your top lists. For me, I mean, I went to university. I haven't graduated yet, but like university was on the lower priority, because there's better ways now to make money online than for me to like first study 4 years and then try to find a way to make money.
Mohammed, just before my next question, can you remind the audience, how old are you?
I am currently 18 years old. I'll be 19 in October. So I'm in about 3 months at the time of this recording.
Guys, this guy is 18. He's like the Mbappe of the tech world. Just look out for him, okay? Truly so much wisdom in you. I'm just in awe because you're so mature for your age and you don't even realize it. So anyway, I'm going to stop dropping flowers on Mohammed. But basically, my next question is, when the thought of working at Microsoft crossed your mind, and how did you plan to make it true? We know like the big techs like Google, Meta, Microsoft, all those big companies are very hard to get into. So when did the thought of work at Microsoft cross your mind, and how did you plan to make this objective come true?
Yeah, so I mean, the goal of working at a big tech company was there from like day one, because that's what you hear everywhere, like Google, Amazon, Netflix, Microsoft, Meta, whatever like the big tech company is. Obviously, everyone wants to get into that, because not only like it's a really awesome job, but it also gives you the gateway to industry. You can make connections, meet people, and like just level up so much just if you can break into any of these big tech companies. So the goal was always there. But then as I was finishing up my summer semester, so this is when so September 2020, I started university. April of 2021, my year one ends, and then I start, because it was all online. So this is like during the peak of the pandemic. So I decided like it's online, let me just like get a couple more credits by doing summer courses. So I did summer courses, that got done. And then during this time, some of my experiences in high school, I managed to make some connections. Actually, let me backtrack. Okay. When I was in high school, our high school has a lot of programs with companies. One of them is Microsoft. Like we use Microsoft products like in every school here in Canada, basically like OneNote, Word, PowerPoint, I think across the world. So one of the things, my district, like the school district, I was in my English class one day and my principal called me like, hey, Mohammed, do you want to go to Microsoft? And that just came out of the blue, and that's just like just destiny. That's just Allah's plan. So they got me actually in contact with Microsoft, the CEO of my district.
No way. Amazing.
Yeah. So they said that we have the student, like we can't really offer much value. Can you mentor him in some capacity? So I got invited to Microsoft, went there, spent a whole day, got to meet like all the engineers in one of the teams. And I managed to make some connections there. Everyone who I met, I like immediately after I went home that day, I sent them a request on LinkedIn, try to get their like work email and so on. So maintain that network.
So good.
And then as I graduated, then an opportunity came up, was that some of the people I met, they moved to a new team which is now called Azure Communication Services. This is a team that I now work in. So they were hiring like crazy because they just started this new team, and this opportunity came up with Microsoft, and it was through that network that led to me getting that opportunity.
I see. And there was an interview process, yeah?
Oh yeah, definitely. So after applying, I had like a full day of interviews, like 5 interviews back to back, a full interview loop. Each interview like hour long, like 5-6 hours worth of just 4 or 5 hours of just interviews. Some behavioral questions, technical questions, general questions, and so on.
So I suppose like you went on YouTube, you saw like how to crack an interview at Microsoft. You binged it for a week, and you told yourself, "This is how I'm going to prepare. This is the plan, etc." What was the roadmap here?
Yeah. So the roadmap was so there's a website called LeetCode, and probably anyone in the audience who does any type of like software related stuff probably knows that. So there's basically LeetCode has software problems that you can solve. So it's like what's a good example? Well, it's just like say like a quiz.
We get it. We get it.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, just doing a lot of LeetCode questions and then just watching a lot of mock interviews, like going on YouTube, and then just like during lunch, like I would just be eating my food and just be watching mock interviews, like other people give interviews, like seeing just seeing what the process is all about. So that was my prep.
I think you already got the techniques, because listening to you, first of all, when you started this podcast interview, you were already, okay, I'm going to respond in 3 points. And this is what we want to see in the business, somebody which is structured. I got to see it immediately when I was talking to you.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I learned and used, which I don't remember where I learned it from, but somewhere online, is the STAR method. So STAR means situation, task, action, result, and reflection.
Okay.
So anytime that you're answering something or trying to convey a thought to someone, follow the structure, STAR. So STAR. So S being situation, because when I'm talking, all the information's in my head. Like I have to like slowly put it in a linear structure for you to understand. So STAR, you start with situation. Just give out, okay, here's the situation. This is the context. And then it's T. T means task. Okay, what was the thing that was needed to be done here? A is for action. Like what's the action that you took? And then R is for result. Like I took this action and then this happened. So it was like a super easy structure. And then like this was the one that I followed mostly like mostly in my interviews, and try to practice almost every day. Yeah. So it's a really nice structure. Like just imagine like whenever you're explaining something, the other person doesn't have the thoughts in their head. Because like right now when I'm talking about my journey and so on, like I can visually see like certain parts of it in my head, but like I still have to convey that in a linear structure to you. So the STAR method was really helpful.
Exactly. And in the business world, you're going to have to do presentations of tech to non-technical audiences. And this is where you're going to make a difference.
Yeah.
Because these are the ones getting you a promotion. Hey, Mohammed, I wanted to know, you've been dreaming all along, working for like one of those Silicon Valley type of tech companies. Was it how you envisioned it?
It definitely exceeded expectation. A lot of stuff that I didn't realize that happened. Like one thing was just the magnitude of how big like the industry is, like just the tech industry. Like there's so much man and brain power goes into just bringing any product to the public. Like even Microsoft Word, like there's a massive team, like massive team, like just working on one feature in Word.
This is crazy.
At Microsoft. So just that was the first realization, which was the scale, the magnitude. Because all these people were hidden before me joining Microsoft. Like then I realized, okay, like there's people that are deep in the industry and like industrialists, but there's like lots of them. So that was the first realization, just the scope of how many people are involved. The other realization was communication. Like my work even right now is like, I would say 30 to 40% just communication and like 30% coding. And then the rest is just organizing and management. So communication is really big. And especially like the people in leadership that are actually leading all these companies that are leading like billions of dollars of market capital, like making decisions. They're not the ones like changing the color on a website or adding a new feature. Like it's all communication. It's just how you communicate with people. Like social skills are really, really important. That's another realization I had, was like once you reach a certain level, like at management and leadership, like your work is just meetings, like just talking to people.
I have a saying just that I don't want to forget. It's that the hard skills get you the job, and then the soft skills get you the promotions. Because then when you get into the word, of course, the hard skills make a difference. When you're in computer science, software engineering, data analytics, it's the hard skills. But I assume that you got them. But you know how you present things, how you get in touch with the stakeholders, etc. This is something that not all engineers have. I have the impression you have it. So it's really good.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, that's super crucial. That's one of the realizations I had, was didn't realize how big communication was a part of all this. Like, this is it. This is what like people in the industry consider actual work. It's not like coding or developing software. It's how well you're able to articulate your ideas and just convey, like, just talk to people. How easy are you in your communication? How easy is it to relate to you? Like, that's just like, if you can understand that, like, you can be successful in any industry.
Exactly. And there's a lot of shadow workers, people who work a lot, but do not know how to market their work. It's a talent. To know how to market your work is to know how to ask for a raise, ask for a promotion, etc. Market your work is a true art.
Yeah, that's a really big part, especially in the software, because right now, after the internet was created, there was such an influx of free resources online, something that I benefited from, making it really accessible for people across the world to just learn the stuff that was before just exclusive for like high-end universities. So now, because of that, one, it's easy to learn stuff, but two, it's way more competitive because there's way more people now that are competing. So learning to market yourself is like the most crucial aspect in any industry. Like, okay, shameless plug here. I have a YouTube channel, Rayyan Siddiqui. You can look it up.
Excellent.
I post videos as well. And one of the things that I've made a lot of videos on is how you market yourself in the software engineering context, as well as just in large. Like, how do you build a social following? Because I think these days it's really important. Not only to get you a job, to get people to notice you, but it also opens a lot of opportunities, having a social following, selling coaching, selling like you yourself selling courses, getting sponsorships and so on. Like, and especially in this world that we live in now, it's like you need a social following. Like, you need some type of online presence, a way to market yourself and your skills.
We're going to talk about your YouTube channel afterwards. I have noted this. Yeah, I want you to tell us more about it. But my first question here, because it's very important. I'm all about the advice being high value. Here, my question is, what types of platform/resources would you think are best? What would you recommend for like anyone, any brother or sister that might be even younger than you, or maybe someone who is older than you trying to shift his career? What are the best platforms and resources to be where you are today, or even further in software engineering?
Google, ChatGPT, YouTube, and Coursera, like online free courses. For software engineering, Free Code Camp, one of my absolute favorite ones on YouTube. But for a general audience, like just for most of the industries, like just learning ChatGPT, learning YouTube, how to navigate YouTube, like just look for certain courses and stuff. Like, that's the best resource that we have.
Yeah, exactly. And it's good, ChatGPT. It's really good. But I think you've got to learn all the things, you know. I hope our younger audience will not be lazy, etc. all the time. It's good for correction of codes, etc. to be more efficient. But you've got to learn the A from Z, you know, you got to learn all the things first. So I would push for Free Code Camp first and then ChatGPT, like once you begin, like just as a matter of being more efficient, because either way at Microsoft, etc., they're gonna see immediately if you master the skills or not. So, and there's not gonna be ChatGPT to help you on the interview. So I'm just saying this, and because I want to help out the youth. And I had another question, is that I'm sure you had a lot of things going on with school, your parents, your family, having fun also aside. Do you have still time to learn now? Because you've had a lot of time to learn when you were even younger, but now that you are in the corporate world at the same time, do you still find time to learn?
Oh yeah. Learning, it's an ongoing process. Like, every day is, like, I think Jeff Bezos has this saying, like, every day is day one, week one. Like, just it's a new day of learning every day. Like, even work itself, even like just working itself, like just like each day you learn a new technique to like say something more concisely, or you learn like a new programming trick. Like, there's always learning, either like on a small scale, big scale. But outside of work, I do find time. Like, I've recently started reading books now, something which I didn't do because I was just super heavy into like just the video format content. So learning with books and doing like online courses for just self-improvement in general, not just software engineering. So like doing a courses on like how you can track your sleep better, or like just learning about the brain. It's more of just, now I have a gateway, like I have that window to just learn about like whatever I want. Like, I'm interested in learning about how your brain works. Okay, like I can just pull up a YouTube video, and then just listen to a podcast as well. That's a really big thing. How like in my learning, like Andrew Huberman's podcast and like all sorts of podcast clips on YouTube. So learning is ongoing. Like that never stops.
Mohammed, you're extremely smart, way more smarter than me. And I want you to tell what is one piece of advice you would give anyone who would want to go in software engineering? How would you advise them? What type of advice have you retained from your experience that you wish you had before?
Yeah, well, shameless plug again. My most recent video
Excellent.
Is exactly this. Like if I could go back in time, retaining the knowledge I have, like what would I do differently? First thing is to just learn, like say, okay, I'm going to talk to someone, like say you have zero knowledge, like bare bones, and you want to get into software engineering, like zero experience. First thing, just go to YouTube. Just learn like the super fundamentals of programming, just what programming is, coding. Even if you don't understand all of it, still force yourself to watch the full video, complete the course. Like it'll just get your brain familiar with the words, and then like you can understand it later. That's fine. But just learning like the super basic fundamentals. For more specific advice, if someone is looking to get into this, I would recommend just starting with Python or JavaScript. Like just learning just the super like basics. Once you do that, the next step is to use your daily life as an inspiration. Like, do you play a lot of games on your PlayStation? Well, try to make a goal of building your own game. Like, say you play a lot of, I don't know, like Fortnite. Like, I play a lot of Formula One, so maybe like build your own Formula One version. You use TikTok a lot, like build your own TikTok clone. So use your daily life as an inspiration. Going back, focus more on projects. Don't overcomplicate yourself by learning all like programming languages. Coding itself, that's the easy part. It's actually how you solve problems. That's what software engineers get paid for. Even in interviews, like usually like in-person interviews, the way that it happens is like they give you a problem. Like say like imagine you're in control of a rocket ship and you have to create a program that lands a rocket, like that takes a rocket from point A to point B. So like create a program that would figure out like the shortest path to that or something like that. Say you're given a problem, like in-person interviews, you actually solve it on a whiteboard. Like you don't use like a formal software, you don't code up stuff. So that's like the real meat of software engineering, which is solving problems. Once you can solve problems, think about problems in your head, then like coding is the actual easy part, just implementing it in a language. So like programming is just a tool. Don't overcomplicate yourself by learning programming languages, lots of them, like just pick one or two and then just go off by projects. Like you want to build a game. Okay, look online. What do you need to build a game? Like just start building your game clone. You want to build a website, learn online what tools you need. So that's one thing. The other thing that I would focus on, which is a bit of like extremely unorthodox advice, but learn about graphic designing. Like this has nothing to do with software engineering, but like trust me, it pays.
I was not expecting this.
Yeah. But it pays a lot of dividends later on because learning programming, that's the easy bit. Like say, okay, there's a lot of people who can do that. Building projects, like a lot of people have done that. But what differentiates you from say like the average software engineer or the people who are now looking to be a software engineer is your overall skill set on how you can deliver a product. So it's not just the software side, it's also the experience side. And that's something like I'm heavily into, which is graphic designing, just learning about say like color theory, just learning about like what color goes with what are some of the patterns that people follow, like any app on your phone. Like all the icons in your app, any type of visual stuff that you see in your app, like there's been tons of iterations on that to make it look really good for the whole product to come alive. And as a software engineer, when you're working on a project, it puts you at a really competitive edge if you have that skill set as well. It's outside of coding, but just having that design sense, having what looks good, what doesn't look good, here's what like people follows, like here's what like these top applications are doing, like that puts you at an edge. So focus on that as well, not just coding. Learn about delivering a product as a whole. And not only will it help you in your personal, like building awesome personal projects, it can also give you opportunities to like work as a contractor. Like say there's a local business outside, I send them an email like, hey, this is some of my work. And it's also visually appealing. Like it's not just the bare bones software that you worked in. So it can give you a lot of opportunities. And in your interviews, you have lots to talk about, like building a whole product from a customer's perspective, because a customer doesn't see all the code that you write. They just see the visual part of it. So that's one thing that I'm really big into, which I don't think anyone that I've followed is, but that's I'll take that as a...
I never saw it.
Yeah, I'll take that as a trademark. So
Never saw it from this angle. It's very, you're teaching me so much things. Truly teaching me so much things. This conversation could go on and on because maybe I'm biased. I love the tech word. Anything that relates to computers, I'm also extremely passionate. I'm just gonna cut right to the question which I wanted to tell you all along. Could you tell us more about your YouTube channel? What inspired you to create a YouTube channel? And also your podcast. Could you tell us a bit more? I believe it's called Life, Tech and Beyond. What inspired you to create this? And what is the project for the future for both of these?
Yeah, so it's as I mentioned before, especially nowadays with everything being online, having a social presence is must. Like a personal brand is must. Whether it's helping you get a job, helping recruiters find your work, or whether it's just you building a following. So that's one of the goals, is just to build a social presence. There's so much time I spent learning about stuff that just failed. I think I can save a lot of people really valuable time. Like, this is how you build on top. Like, this is progress. Like, say like someone works on something for 10 years, all the lessons that they've learned, you don't have to do all the 10 years to get those lessons. Like, you can learn the lessons without the scars. And so one of my goals with the YouTube channel is just to help out people, as well as my own personal interest, which is just to build a social following, because that also grants you a lot of opportunities that may come, opportunities for sponsorships, for like maybe selling my own courses and so on. So that's also one of the interests. Originally, the YouTube channel started as just a vlogging channel. So I used to just post vlogs when I used to go mountain biking or to the gym with my friends. Then it moved to tech content. So me just making videos on tech. But then now it's more of a personality channel. Like, just whatever my interests are, you'll find it there. Like, whether it's like self-improvement, anything tech related, like entrepreneurship, or anything like maybe Formula One even, like you'll just find it on there. So yeah, you can just go on YouTube, type in Rayyan Siddiqui, which is my name, and then hopefully you'll find it. You can also find me on like basically every social platform there is: TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, like everywhere. The main goal of the podcast, which is called Life, Tech and Beyond, it's only available on YouTube right now, is that I have access to, and I'm super, super grateful, like alhamdulillah, like I'm in a position where I have access to so many industrialists, like top people working at like big tech companies, or even like different areas. Like if you go on my YouTube channels, you'll find like I've interviewed a couple people from Google, Amazon, Microsoft, as well as like some people from like a gold mining company, or say like one I interviewed was Russell Goiter, which is who works at a fintech company, which is financial tech. So anything that I'm interested in, like me talking to people, I just post it online. So it's like a recorded conversation. Like it's more from me, my personal interest. Like I'm asking the questions to learn more about a thing, and it's all available online for people to experience as well. So yeah.
Mohammed, you're so smart. I can see you being a brilliant entrepreneur in the long run. I want you to work for the biggest companies. I want you to scale your career in Microsoft, anything. But I see you also being like a brilliant entrepreneur in the future. I wish you this truly, because you have a potential, and I think you know it fully. You fully know the potential that you have right now. Hey, I think we're running out of time, but maybe just thank you very much. Jazakallah khairan, Muhammad. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're extremely busy with work, your family, your friends, having fun, so much things. You're so young, and you still came and you delivered so much, like on this podcast, so much brilliant. I don't even know if you realize how much like you have told us during this podcast. So I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time. And just, I think you're a true role model for the youth. And this is why I wanted you on my podcast, because I want the youth to tell themselves, man, this guy is at our age and this is what he's doing. And you're extremely inspiring. Even me being 29 almost, and I'm so inspired by you. So I just want you to understand how much you're inspiring to our community, the Muslim community. So Jazakallah khair, Muhammad, for accepting to do this podcast.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a blast. And for the audience members, you can just look up Rayyan Siddiqui online, like my LinkedIn, if you want to connect with me one-to-one. Like just DM me, send me an Instagram, like any questions that you have, I'd love to answer. But thank you so much. This has been an awesome experience.
Guys, I will put the link of his social media, his YouTube channel. Please go check it out. Show some support to our brother. He deserves it. And the podcast he has done, he has amazing profiles, senior engineers from Google, Microsoft, you name it. He has them on his podcast, so go check it out. Show some love to our brother. Thank you so much, everyone, for being on the podcast, and I'll see you next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Muhammad, and assalamu alaikum, everyone. That's all for today's episode, guys. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. If you have any feedback or suggestion for future episodes, please reach out to us on our social media channels. And don't forget, please, to subscribe, rate and review our show on your favorite podcast platform. This would really help us a lot. Until next time, well, stay inspired, stay curious, and keep changing the game.